Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to start our custom home design. And we're going to start with this worksheet. I will have everybody fill this out for me. And on this worksheet, I'm going to make it accessible in a Google form, or if you want to print it out and hand it in, that's fine. But I do need to know the idea of the size of your home, where it's going to be, and all that stuff. Okay. So, as far as the custom home in real life, we actually start with something kind of opposite of how you learned how to do your custom home. I'm sorry, your two-bedroom house that we did in AutoCAD. It is going to be opposite in that you actually, it's kind of funny that on the AutoCAD house that we did, the little two-bedroom, one bath home, the last thing we did was the site plan. But in real life, whenever you're designing a house, that's actually the first thing you should work on is the site plan. I'll explain why in a little bit. I am going to be using one of these lots for an example on Cimarron Sky subdivision. Um, this will be accessible, of course, on the Google Classroom. I'm sorry, in the Google Drive. And I'm just going to pick this one lot for whatever reason. I'm going to use this one, and pretending it's an empty lot. And this is where I'm going to design my dream home, and this is where I want to have my house and live in for the rest of my life. And I'm going to design it myself. Okay. And please bear in mind, students, don't forget that you can design your own home. It's happened with our own students. I have a student, as a matter of fact, a good friend of Mr. Iglesias, Eddie Arriaga, that designed his own home, built his own home, lived in his own home, and sold it because he wanted something bigger. So he even sold his own house. And so we are going to start with the subdivision plan, and this is how we start our custom home. Okay. So as far as the criteria, this is the form that I'm going to have you guys fill out for me. And from here is where you're going to start with pretty much the property address. We'll kind of work down the list. You're going to put your name up on top, and you're going to put your name in here, check, and then you're going to put in the property address. Where do you get the property address? If you may remember, that comes from the plat. So you're going to look at the subdivision plat, whichever lot you're looking for. So I'm going to be looking at this lot right in here. So the address in this case is 1684. Geez, I'm not even sure how to pronounce this. Tonantzin. You can read it better than I can, but that's the address of this one property. So when you start on the worksheet that I'm going to put on the Google form, you put in your property address. Okay. You should already know how to get the zoning, but I need you to tell me what the zoning is for that particular property. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't have to be the subdivision. I have several subdivisions, subdivision plats that you can pick from. I want you to go through them and look for them. Remember, these are subdivisions that exist already, so you can go and do the Google Map research and kind of look at it and see the area and is it something you like or something. Um, but nonetheless, that's just the one I'm going to be using for my example here. It's going to be lot number 19 of block number 6 of the Cimarron Sky Unit 2 subdivision. That is the legal subdivision, legal description. But the address is 1684. I'm not going to pronounce this. I'm going to probably hurt myself doing that. But nonetheless, it's going to be on this street. Okay. So once again, you're going to come back and fill this area information for me. Please go get the zoning. If you forgot how to do that, you'll have to refer to my previous videos on how to get the zoning, which is the subdivision plat explanation. And then once you get the zoning, I need you to tell me your front yard and side yard setbacks. And so that's the information you have to tell me. Okay. Now this is what I'm telling you, that's what your budget is going to be on the house design. I started doing this a few years ago because when I didn't give a budget, students were doing some crazy, big designs. And when you first start a house design, sometimes you're thinking too big, and you'll see what I mean once you start designing these things. So I wanted to put a little bit of a limitation on there so that way it's a little bit more realistic. This is pretty much the budget nowadays of homes. My daughter just bought herself a home. She paid 230,000 something for it, and I will tell you, her $230,000 house budget, her payments right now, based on current taxes, it's about $1,650 a month. Okay, so this is just a little bit of reality check. Some students really don't realize how much a house payment is. Of course, she's paying her house and it's going to be hers after 30 years. This is a 30-year note, by the way. So she's going to be paying $1,650 a month for the next 30 years. Okay. My daughter's 24. So if she makes her minimum monthly payments, she's not going to pay that thing until she's 54. Okay. Of course, you want to try to make bigger payments in this, and just again a little bit of a real life application. You always want to try to pay monthly At a minimum, this, but if you can pay a little bit more, maybe another $100 and things like that, there's mortgage calculators that you can do where by simply just adding $100 a month more per month, instead of it being paid off in 30 years, sometimes you can pay it off in 25 or even 20 years. Okay, but nonetheless, just a little bit of reality check. So with that being said, that is going to be our budget for this home design. It's going to be one a $250,000 home. Okay, so then the next question is, how big is the house going to be? Okay, well, there's a range of house design, a range of house prices. Okay, I will tell you, in some cases, it has to do with the area where you build a house. If it's on the west side of El Paso, is it on the east side of El Paso, is it in Horizon City? That right there dictates the price of the home. And what we usually do in the real life is you work with a price per square foot. So that's very typical of real estate. You'll hear people saying, "Hey, how much is your house?" Oh, well, this. Well, how much is it per square foot? Oh, well, it's this amount. Okay, so that's kind of what's used in the industry, not only in real estate but in just in general. It's usually price per square foot. Okay, now the price per square foot includes the cost of the actual lot and a typical two-car garage. I've heard students tell me in the past, "Oh, I don't want a garage." Well, yes, I want one. Remember, you're designing a home. This is still your design, but you're kind of designing it for me, your client. I'm the one that's going to be checking off on your design, making sure it's something that satisfies me, your client, even though really it's going to be your house. But nonetheless, I am asking for a two-car garage. That is a requirement, and that is included in this price range of the house. Okay, it also includes the cost of the lot. Okay, so it's kind of interesting to realize that just to buy the dirt, the area of where you're going to put your house, that already has a cost on it, and they've been going up. I think at this current market, of course, I'm not sure when you're watching this video, since we're going to be using these videos for several years. But right now in 2021, a typical lot cost is about 35 to 40,000, maybe even $50,000, just for dirt. Okay, of course, it's improved dirt. It does have utilities coming to it, so you do have a sidewalk, and you do have pavement and utilities coming up to the house. But nonetheless, because it's an improved lot, again, just dirt with underground utilities available, it's still about 35, 40, sometimes even $50,000, just the price of the lot. Okay, so we need to keep that in mind. But once again, that is built into your price per square foot. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to pick the range of your price per square foot. Okay, now, the reason I'm doing that is because some people, students say, "Oh, Mister, but in my house, I want to have a pool. I want to have this a big restroom and an aquarium built into the wall, and all kinds of crazy things." Well, that's fine, but whenever you're doing something more fancy, you're going to be somewhere at this price range of about $160 a square foot. Okay, so then how big is that end up being? Okay, if we're looking at $160 a square foot, let's do some math. So we have a $250,000 price budget, and you're saying, I want a pool. I want all this nice fancy stuff. Okay, it's going to be about $160 a square foot. So you're going to take the price of the house divided by $160 a square foot. That's a 1,500 square foot home. Let me tell you right now, that is not a very big house. Okay, um, you're gonna have a hard time putting in three bedrooms and two baths in that small of a home. Okay, 1,500, again, not very big. Um, I would venture to say probably the size of the classroom right now is about. Well, actually, it might even be more than that. Is 1,500 square feet. Okay, because that's the next thing I'm going to tell you is give me your square foot of living space. 1,500 square feet of living space. If I go with a nice fancy $160 a square foot price range. Okay. Let's say, no, Mister, I just want a nice basic house, just bedrooms and bathrooms, somewhere to sleep, no pool, no, none of that stuff. Okay, then you might be at a lower price range, at about $110 a square foot. Now, notice the big difference. We were at 1,500 square feet, so if we go to $110 a square foot, let's go back to our $250,000 price range, divided by $110 a square foot, 2,272 square feet. That is a way big difference. Okay, but it's a simpler home. So it's a simpler home, nothing fancy, but nonetheless, you get a bigger house. Okay. So that once again, it's a little bit of a reality check. Whenever, like myself, that I have a real estate license, you have these people that want the all these fancy things, and I keep going back to pool, but pool is sometimes what people consider fancy. Um, a pool and an outdoor spa and um, an outdoor cooking area and stuff and everything and a big living room and sometimes it's just more expensive. Then because of that, your price per square foot goes up and you get a smaller house. Okay, so it's just a little bit of reality check. I don't know what your thoughts are and what you'd want. You want a bigger house, a smaller house? But let me tell you, if it's somewhere in this range and I see real fancy stuff on your house design, and say, nope, we got to take that out. I can't afford it. We need to stake it to $160 a square foot. But if you're here and that's the size of house that you want, I'm expecting to see some really nice upgrades and a huge kitchen with granite countertops and an island and all that stuff. But again, that's what we're at. Okay, so that's where we're at going to be as far as our um, price range. Okay. Once again, this doesn't change. This is fixed. That's what we're gonna budget for. You tell me what's the range. You want somewhere in between, maybe $130 a square foot, 140. I don't know, but nonetheless, you tell me. And then once you do the math of taking the $250,000 divided by your price per square foot, you tell me your living space. Oh, Mister, yeah, mine end up being 2,100 square feet, or no, it's 1,500 square feet. I don't know. That's what you're gonna tell me. And then in there, I need you to tell me how many bedrooms, okay? Including the master bedroom. The master bedroom, of course, does need to be part of the count of bedrooms. So we're doing at least three. I've had students tell me, no, I'm just going to build a two-bedroom house. Not really. You don't want to do that in real life. You want to at least build a three-bedroom home always, because a two-bedroom house is very hard to sell. Nobody buys two-bedroom homes. So you'd have a hard time selling it in the future if you ever had to. Bathrooms, same thing. You tell me how many bathrooms you want, and then give me a little bit of a description as far as living rooms. Did you want a formal living room, a den? Did you want to put a game room in there? Just a little bit more of a description so I can get a better idea of what your house is going to look like. Okay. So that's what I'm going to be asking for the first part of this design. And then once you have this filled out, go ahead and turn it in on the Google form or on paper if you want to. And then we'll keep going from there. Okay. So on our next video, I'll explain how we're going to start working with our site plan and start working with our design.